We're going to talk about MX of Nations and some of the top tier riders and their techniques from Slovenia to Australia to the United States. On one may think the track was muddy. Others may think it was just icy and slippery and hard pack. Others might say it was loamy. But there was definitely some mist that caused some goggles irritation for many riders, and there's few to actually prevail, which this guy, Jett Lines, we pretty much thought he was going to wax the entire field. But before I get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and get this video to over 1,000 likes. Thank you. Tim Gajser also got robbed of the MXGP championship, some would say. But at the end of the day, points don't lie, and Prado beat him out. And good for him, is no longer going to be racing the MXGP championship. He's going to be over in America racing for Kawasaki for Supercross and Motocross. But look at this last lap charge. Tim is 4 rollers behind Jett, which is astonishing that he was able to come through here. Jett has it in the bag. Tim is 3 seconds behind him with half a lap to go. How did he catch him? And how did he win the overall by going 1-1? Well, he started charging and he got incredibly close. And Jett normally doesn't do this, but he looks back. He looks back at Tim going, I've got 3/4 to go. How am I going to do this? Tim is out for blood, and watch what he does. He almost sets a kill strike out for Jett Lines to become motocross's most wanted, because if he would have cleaned him out, he probably would have been able to leave the UK without some sort of injury from the fans, because everybody loves the Lawrence brothers so much. They kind of have this Deegan persona that they can do no wrong. And arguably, when you are the fastest rider in the world, you really can't. But you know what happened? He did do something wrong. He let Tim get too close. And Tim was one of the only riders of 2024 that has been able to pass Jett back, and after being passed by him, be able to hold on to his rear wheel and actually catch him and then pass him. And do I think Tim could have passed Jett fair and square? I don't think so. I think this was the only way Tim was going to get the overall, was if he was going to come in with authority, and that is exactly what he did to Jett. But I am, as a fan, so happy to have seen this live because it was phenomenal. So hats off to Tim, and I believe he's going to have a great 2025. Same thing with Jett. This is the guy that has so much weight on his shoulders because everybody expects him to beat everybody. Yeah, speaking of this individual, Jett is somebody that you can't pass back once you get around him. And this was how he got around Tim Gajser. And I have no idea how he was able to not slow down, but just pivot. Literally, just pivot and have traction on a track that was very misty. And like I said before, a little bit slippery and icy. But look at him. He comes in hauling butt on the outside. And what does he do? If I try to slow this down, he's braking, gets off the brake, and instantly, you can see the roost. He starts leaning his body over by pushing that motorcycle down below his hips and moving his ass over onto, exemplifying, but moving his ass over onto that seam so that he can weight that outside peg, and just buckles down and does a beautiful acceleration slide to get to the inside and creates this new line that nobody has gone through, and is able to then lift himself up to make sure he doesn't hit the hay bales that would take him out, and falls right back into one of the ruts standing up. Is just superb. And that is excellence in motion. It's one of the reasons why he is the best rider in the world. And if we watch him just the corner afterwards, look what he does when he lands. He lands, and then he's going to accelerate and jump off some of these braking bumps. So he's hauling ass coming down the hill, and then he's just going to jump off of these braking bumps going downhill, land into a rut, and it's just these minute little things that make him so incredibly fast. And if I look at probably the hardest corner of the track, which was this off camber, nobody went wide, and if they went wide, they lost so much time. But again, focus in on Jett. He's in that attack position. His hips are back, his legs are fairly straight, his elbows are straight, so therefore he's not fighting inertia, and that motorcycle is able to work underneath him. If you have a problem with arm pump, make sure that you are in the attack position when you brake, because if you're squeezing and holding the motorcycle forward, you're going to grip the motorcycle harder, and you're not going to let it flow underneath you. You ride a motorcycle with your legs, not your arms. Your arms are just there to essentially just use the controls and keep you attached to the dang thing, but they don't really do much else. Yeah, your elbows, if they're up, it kind of keeps you stability-wise, but here, you hear me. He's going to hop yet again. Just a nice little double, and that is so exceptional, because if you were to walk this guy, and this is why I want to go to more races so that I can be with you guys and walk some of this stuff, this is a scary rut to even go through. And most guys would probably be trying to sit down and have their legs out for balance, because this is a legendary rut that is off camber. And what is he able to do? He's able to double into it on braking bumps, which is just abso-effing-lutely in-effing-credible / in-effing-sane. I don't know how else to say it. That is just spectacular. The amount of control this individual has. Watch this. And he's moving. He is moving. And look at how that bike just is working underneath him. Then, afterwards, what does he do? He's leaning back, and he's doing a Southwick. I'm just in some sand rollers inside of a legendary rut. Boom, I'm going to wheelie over some more of these guys just to get another bike length on Timmy. Crazy. You know what is not crazy is taking care of yourself with nutritional bundles from CoachRobStore.com. Whether or not you're stiff and you need some restoration of your joints, you have a broken bone possibly, you've got a concussion, or you're just darn right tired, these bundles have no artificials or additives. That is no fillers added whatsoever. This stuff is clean, clean, clean. So I want you guys to go to CoachRobStore.com and search for these suckers. I can attest to them. I have used pretty much half of them because of all the mistakes that I have made on a dirt bike. Switching gears to the savior of the United States, Tomac, on the same corner that Tim was able to get around Jett. Look at this beautiful brake slide by, I kind of want to call him the General, but other people are nicknamed the General, but he was definitely Captain America for Team USA. Look at him as he comes in here. Beautiful execution of how to properly brake. He's in that attack position, and again, you notice that these elbows are somewhat straight. He is not fighting the inertia of the motorcycle. Then he is going to accelerate and lean with his hips to get that back end to swing around, and he's then going to sit down on top of that motorcycle, meaning he's going to have his hips turned onto the side of that seat to keep from falling over and low siding, so that he can literally watch this motorcycle swing out from underneath him. Beautiful, beautifully done, incredibly fast. Probably not the smoothest, but we've never known Tomac to be the most smooth rider. He is incredibly aggressive. Okay, and we also saw him look back at Timmy, which normally is something that never happens with Tomac. We saw two things happen. We saw Jett look back and get past, and we saw Tomac look back and get past. And here, the biggest hit of MX of Nations was this gigantic quad, which many riders were saying was bigger than Larocco's Leap. But the thing that Larocco's Leap has is it's got a gnarly landing to it for the triple. And this quad right here doesn't have a gnarly landing to it. It's got a fairly safe landing uphill. So if you were to case it, you're not going to break any spokes. So here, we'll look at that in real time yet again. Wide open, seat bounce, able to make it happen. And watch Tim Gajser as he decides to triple it and somewhat double up the hill, land on some braking bumps, but I want you to pay attention to his feet as he comes around these corners that are very rutted. Normally, you would just stick your leg up and be sitted down and use a little bit more energy by having that leg out there to catch you in case you fall. But watch what he does. Just beautiful. Tim is probably one of the smoothest riders I have ever seen ride a motorcycle. So look how he goes outside in, and he decides to not dive for the main deep rut here. He decides to pick a new line just in between it, which is so smooth. And then watch, as he sits down, he doesn't put his foot on the foot peg or stick his leg out. He just lifts it up briefly enough so that he's not going to have that ankle roll with the foot peg as it gets dragged. So beautifully done. That was honestly, as a technical guy and maybe an analytical guy, that was one of the coolest lines I saw of the MX of Nations. Was just the simple, very minute details, which I just thought were incredibly impressive. But if I zoom this back out and show the pass between Tim and Tomac, wonderful to see the fight in Tomac, that after he got past, he decided to attack right back, just goes right underneath him, takes the line away, and Tim almost tries to do what happened to him with Jett, but he wasn't able to hold a motorcycle there. And truthfully, he was trying to guard the line by making it, hey, Tomac, you cannot continue to be in front of me. He jumps right over these ruts. You can see the suspension move, and he goes straight for the block pass there. And he ends up eventually getting around Captain America. Here, Prado, who struggled with some goggle issues, and he was the MXGP champ right now. So he's got the number 1 plate, not for this race. That was Febra with Spain, but they had their own little issues, which I'm glad that he was okay. He ended up knocking the wind out of himself and couldn't finish, so they lost the podium, which was a bummer, right? But these little roller sections that we saw lots of guys go down, and it looked bad for Anstein and a few other guys. Lucas Kunin, I believe this was the right section, but look at this. Just beautifully done, GNCC style, standing up, and watch as he lands in one of these acceleration bumps, and he's going to use it to get some lift off of so that he can double the next roller, and then he can double yet again in this crazy section. Again, does not do it justice how deep these ruts were, but most guys were jumping off of this guy, not doubling it. So just the technical prowess that Prado shows is insatiable, basically. So here, let's watch it in real time. Woo. So cool. So cool. Well, guys, that is it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification icon, and there's much more to come. Till next time, keep it WFO. Ba-ra-da-da-da-da.